Yeah, I can see my mom is here as well. Hi, mom. Uh, as well as anybody else who might be from wherever you are, watching wherever you are, whether you're watching through Facebook or whether you've joined through Zoom as well. It's good to see everybody here. So yeah, my name is Gideon Tladi. I'm a second year student at the University of Manchester right now. And yeah, I'm from a country called Botswana, down south in Africa. So that's a little bit about myself. Anyway, I guess I can go straight into sharing the screen. Let me just tweak everything to make sure everything works as expected. Okay, all right. I believe we're good to go. Can someone confirm with me that everything looks fine by unmuting themselves?
Yeah, looks good.
Okay, cool. So yeah, hi, my name is Gideon Tladi, and I'm going to be presenting about the 8 aspects of your life. Now let's get on with it. Why? Let me start with this. As we all know, last year was not really a very easy year. 2020 happened, or more specifically, the pandemic happened. And for me, this was a bit of a tough season. Not, obviously it was a tough season for everyone, but the reason why it was a bit tough on me was because when it happened, I was only like, I was very fresh, very new to the UK. So I was still sort of trying to get my feet wet, trying to get used to a life away from home, trying to get used to that independence. And yeah, just adjusting my goals, trying to discover myself, right? And then this hit, which meant my freedom of movement was restricted. And it also meant that personally, I wasn't ready to go back home. My plan was to go home during the summer holidays, but I wasn't able to do that because I felt like going back home during such a situation like that, it would put my health in risk traveling, but it would also maybe put other people's health at risk back home. And I wasn't sure if our facilities back in my home country would be able to accommodate us. And yeah, I was also just trying to figure out stuff because I mean, I was turning 20, I was becoming independent. So life was happening. Anyway, this whole journey from April 2020 up until now, for me, it was a journey of restoration and personal development. It was almost as if I was broken up and then rebuilt in a sense. So today I'm just going to be sharing with you some of my thoughts, experiences, and the lessons that I learned during that time. And I believe that we're all in the same team. And what I mean by this is that, we're all human, we're all made in God's image. That's what I believe because I'm a Christian. And I just believe that it's good, or it's a good thing if I help other people, because when I help other people, the society becomes better. And when the society becomes better, eventually my life becomes better as well, because I don't need to worry so much about the bad things that are going on in my life or in the world. So that's just a little bit about what I believe in. I also believe in the idea of progress versus the idea of perfection. Perfection, it's something that we can't attain as humans. We can get close to it, but we can't really attain it 100%. So I believe that if we focus more on, being a better person tomorrow than who we are today, or being a better person today than who we were yesterday, that's progress and that's good. Anyway, there are 8 aspects in our lives that we should consider. And before I actually get into this, let me just say that I've arranged them in a specific order. I've arranged them in the order that you deal with first what is on the inside. Um, and then from there, you look towards anything else that is on the outside, but is still personal to you. And then from there, you look at once you understand yourself better, once you understand what you need to do to become a whole as a human being, that's when now you can actually extend that to others, or it becomes much easier to extend that wholeness or that integrity to other people. So the first one that I'll touch on is spiritual, because personally I believe that's the most important thing. It really touches the aspect of who am I? And I believe that is every human's greatest question, actually understanding who they really are. Personally, as a Christian, I believe that I'm made in God's image. Uh, there's a verse which talks about how God shaped up some mud and then breathed his life into that body. So I believe that a human is both spirit and flesh. So that's just what I believe. Anyway, there's another aspect as well. So after you've dealt with that intrinsic identity, you now go into the realm of the mind, the realm of the subconscious and the conscious, right? So I want you to take some time and evaluate your own thought life right now. Do you have healthy thoughts? Do you have unhealthy thoughts? What is the ratio between your healthy thoughts and your unhealthy thoughts? Which one has more weight? So you can think about it, you can write it down somewhere. Um, and personally, I tend to ask myself questions like this a lot. I tend to ask myself open-ended questions, or to think critically about where I am and where I want to go. And I think something that you can practice is journaling, because it helps you to sort of have an outlet for where you can document your thoughts. It gives you some structure when you are actually thinking. It's okay. Sometimes you can just think without journaling. I do that as well sometimes, but I find that journaling just helps me to structure my thoughts in a nice and neat way. And just, yeah, it helps me to think better in a way. And it becomes a stress reliever, because it's like, well, I've taken out whatever that was inside here that was confusing me. I've dumped it over there. So maybe if I have a thought that's been bugging me the entire day, I'll just write it down and I know that I can deal with it at a later time. So it helps to take your mind off things sometimes. Reflect as well. Don't just write things and not really try to learn anything from them. Actually try to figure out why that thing is the way it is. If you can't, that's still okay. But sometimes in asking yourself those deeper questions, you become a better thinker, a more critical thinker. It also might help you identify any biases you have and how you can correct that. Because ultimately we all just want to grow. Another intrinsic aspect that you need to consider is the emotional aspect. So when you've dealt with the spiritual, you now have a sense of identity of who you are. When you've dealt with the mental, you're now at peace to think as critically as possible, and your logic is in check. Now your emotions come in, and the thing about emotions is most of the time it's very hard to control them. Personally, I think I could say you can't really control your emotions, but you can control how you respond to your emotions. So making sure that your thought life is good will mean that even when you feel intense emotions like anger or hate, you won't end up lashing out onto people, or I don't know, destroying plates and cups and glasses. You'll actually be able to think logically and critically. You'll be able to identify what it is that is causing your emotions to run wild. So those are just my thoughts on the emotional aspect of things. Now that I've covered most of the internal stuff, now let's look at your external environment. You have to take note of what it is that you're eating, how exactly, how much physical activity you're expending on every day. Like maybe, do you go to the gym? I mean, we know it's locked down right now, so maybe are you doing any home workouts? I know Mr. C, he usually enjoys walking. Other people might enjoy doing calisthenics. Other people might enjoy doing jogging. Whatever it is that you enjoy, find something that you think you would like to do physically every day, just to help keep yourself active, particularly because we're all indoors. And I mean, the easiest thing to do would be to sit down, binge watch Netflix all day, or I don't know, spend 6 hours on our phones every day, just seated. And then, I mean, you're either sitting down or sleeping. So you're not really getting that much physical activity in this season. So I asked myself, during that time in April 2020, when I actually came up with this whole idea and refined it over some time. So I thought about it and I asked myself, well, I think it's very important for me to actually now take note of what I put into my body, how I take care of my body, because I'm sure the rewards will pay off later. You know, I want to be 70 and still be able to run around with my great grandchildren if I'll have great grandchildren at the time. You know, sleep. Are you actually getting enough sleep for your body? I know that, you know, sometimes we say sleep is for the weak, or, you know, we have to grind it out, or, you know, we have to work hard. And I understand that. But honestly, though, are you getting enough sleep? Because sleep helps you to be at your peak performance. You know, if you're not sleeping, over time, the effects actually catch up on you. So just make sure that you are getting enough rest, because rest is important. General health, like when was the last time you actually went to the doctor's appointment? When was the last time you actually visited the dentist? You might think that everything is okay on the outside, but on the inside, things might actually not be running as well. So I think it's important for you just to make sure that you're actually doing whatever it is that your body needs, and just giving it the best care possible. Hygiene as well, you know, how often do you brush your teeth? How often do you shower? You know, just how often do you just take care of yourself? The little things, they do matter. And also, once you're done with your body, you can now also consider other factors as well, like your environment. How often do you actually follow the instruction or the advice to put everything that is trash in its right place, you know, all the recycling bins? How often do you actually clean up after yourself? So those are just some questions to ask. Educational. I've addressed the things that you need to do just so that you can be at peak performance, because the next four things are also things that you need to do. Like, you can't do these next things if you're not at your peak performance. And that means, you know, if your mind is not in check, if your spirit is not in check, if your emotions are not in check, if your body itself is not in check, then you can't do, you can't learn, or you can't do the next things that I'm going to share with you. So there's different types of learning. There's formal education, of course, like school. I'm currently studying Mechatronics Engineering. There's other things like informal education. So it might involve things like maybe choosing to learn a language online, using some apps, or just reading on your own to improve your vocabulary, or just learning a new skill that you're going to use later. The idea is, as long as you're learning, you're growing. And when you learn something new, you can eventually be able to apply it and actually benefit from it, or help others benefit from it. Financial, money, 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 money. Something that I know has probably got people's attention right now, especially because, you know, I've put up all these bills from all over the world, I think. So there's different aspects here, and I've put some asterisks on a few because I think those are some that maybe we might overlook, especially as young people. So first of all, you need to understand income, expenses. What is that? Income basically means money in, expenses means money out. Debts are a type of expense, but you can use them wisely as well and use them to actually bring money in. So you bring money in, or you get income, either by getting paid or by having assets. Assets are things that pay you. Um, so let me give an example of, if maybe you're using your Uber car to be doing food deliveries, then that's an asset because it helps get money into your account. At the same time, if you have that car and you need to actually fuel it and maintain that car, so that's an expense in and of itself. So if maybe you have a car, but I mean, you're not really using it like for a job, or you're not using it for anything beneficial, you're just using it literally to get from point A to point B, to some extent, it's an expense if it doesn't end up putting money into your account. That's just a fact. If you're in a house and that house, like, it's not really giving you any income, but you're constantly paying like electricity bills, water bills, then unless and until, if maybe you bought it on a mortgage or something, or unless and until you actually put that house out to be sold or rented, then in a sense, it's an expense for you right now. It only becomes an asset when it guarantees that money is coming in. So just solidify that fact into your brains right now if you haven't got that. Debts, again, like I said, you can get into some good debts. And what I mean is, if maybe you're going to be getting into a mortgage, for example, and the idea of it is that house or that rental property is going to be used to bring money into your account, then that's a good debt. Or if maybe you're going to use that debt to finance your startup business, that's some good debt. But if you're just going to be using it literally, I don't know, to buy clothes or to buy anything that won't actually pay you, then that is not a good debt, and you should be careful lest you end up getting into some serious problems. Credit score. This is something that not a lot of people actually know about. I didn't know about it myself until I actually came to the UK. And the idea is lenders won't just give you money out of nowhere. You actually need to show something that proves that you are actually able to handle money when you've borrowed it, and you can pay on time. You can, you're not just going to end up taking that money and literally spending all of it out of nowhere. Like, it doesn't just work like that. There's some rules that apply when you actually want to build your credit score. So make sure that you're doing that. I'm actually doing that right now. Fun fact. Savings, it's another big one as well, because usually savings are very helpful for like emergencies, or maybe if you want to do something like maybe you want to go on a trip or a holiday. So that's where savings are beneficial. And if you don't really have that, or if you haven't put money aside in advance to plan for something, then you're more likely to impulse buy. Or if you're in an emergency, then you might not have enough to help you in that time of need. At the same time, savings are not the end all be all. Many a times, a lot of people, especially Africans, we know about savings, but we don't really know much about investments and about businesses. When you think about businesses, usually, I don't know, we just think about small businesses or just mini side hustles, but most of us don't really think that big. And I think it's about time we actually change that and we actually do think big, because I mean, we can name examples of very successful businesses right now, especially e-commerce businesses like Amazon right now, which actually made money during this time of crisis. Businesses can be very beneficial, provided that you actually do them the right way. Investments, this is basically a way of getting extra money, or in other words, it's like savings, but your money ends up getting interest, way more interest than what the bank usually provides. I'm spending a lot of time on this particular aspect because I know that it's a very important aspect that not a lot of people actually know about. And before I actually continue on this, I want to mention something very important. Money in and of itself is just an object. It is not evil. What is evil, or what can be used in a wrong way, is if maybe you're greedy, or if you literally want to use that money for the wrong reasons. Like if maybe you just want money just because you're selfish and you don't really want to actually do anything good for other people about it. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's good to work hard and like earn what you worked for, but at the same time, just know where your heart is. Money is not the end all be all. Some of the most important or some of the most beneficial things that you can actually do for yourself is to develop good relationships with other people and just be at peace with other people, which I will explain further in the next couple of points. Anyway, yeah, that was just a little bit about the financial aspect of things. So before I continue again, let me touch again on the idea of what investments actually are. Basically, you take a calculated risk. In other words, you take a certain portion of your money that you're not afraid to lose, or that you know that it could go up, it could go down, things might go well or not. So you take this money and you make sure that you can actually afford to lose it. But the intention of it is you're going to grow it. And maybe you might be putting it away in a retirement fund, for example. And then over time, if you keep on putting in the money, it's almost like as if you're saving, but the interest is much larger than you would actually get in a savings account. So your returns are huge and you're more likely to retire a millionaire, for example. Another important one, aspirations. So this refers to your hobbies, your desires, your talents, projects, ideas, just anything big that you've ever wanted to do, really. And it might also touch on your purpose in life or helping you just understand why you're actually on this earth. I can give an example of myself that from a young age, I knew that I was interested in the sciences. I read a lot of books. And for me, things like sci-fi movies and just books that talked about science and inventions, they seem to interest me more than other things. And just even my grades would actually reflect that. So when it came actually to choosing the type of degree that I was going to do, I ended up narrowing my choice to engineering, and then I narrowed it further to mechanical engineering and electrical engineering. So when I found out I could do both in a course called Mechatronics, I knew that was the one for me because like I'm interested in technology, I'm interested in just building cool stuff. So the idea is I don't just want to do it for me. I mean, it's cool to do it for me, but I also know that there's a gap, there's a need in Africa to expand the technological industry. So my hope and my aim is that after I complete my degree, I'll actually be able to start up maybe a tech business or just do whatever, make whatever contribution I can to ensure that the tech industry in Africa actually starts growing significantly. Your purpose in life might be different. Maybe yours might be acting, singing, arts, sports, preaching, whatever it might be really, but actually try to figure it out. One of the ways in which you can figure it out is by using a Japanese concept called ikigai, which basically defines 4 important aspects to consider when you're thinking about what you actually want to do in life. 1, what are you good at? As in like what skills do you have? 2, what do you love doing? Like, you just enjoy doing it. 3, what can you get paid for? So it's something that can be relevant, maybe something that's trending or just something that can actually bring you a source of income. 4, what does the world need? This involves a side of, being able to volunteer or being able to identify the big issues in this world. So I know people like Bill Gates right now published a book on the idea of climate change. He's been one of those people who, I mean, he's into tech, but you still find him being able to do other stuff like, with the whole issue of vaccines and making significant contributions to reduce the poverty line in Africa. Little things like that. It's all about identifying who you are and what you can contribute to this world as well. To break it down, or what took me a long time to figure out, but now I can say these are the most important ideas. 1, have a long-term vision. So when you look at yourself between now and by the point that you die, I know death is sort of a shaky topic, but really it's important that you think about this. When you die, what do you actually think you would want to have accomplished in your life? Something so big, so grand, it's almost impossible, but you could do it with the right amount of effort and consistency. You could actually make it. So think about that for a second. And then from there, actually try to break it down into short-term goals and try to figure out, okay, if I could actually, take small steps from point A to point B, what would I do? And then, so the idea is you start small, but you aim big. You take baby steps just so that you can develop some momentum to keep going. And then you aim for something that is so big that, I mean, when you're done, when you've reached the end of the line, you can be like, wow, well, to be honest, I lived a good life. I enjoyed it. I was happy. I made some impact and I'm good. So what I want you to do is make sure you focus on trying to do high quality actions. You don't just want to waste time on it. It's something that's very difficult. I mean, even I'm still working on it, but the more you work on it, the better you become. So you need high quality daily actions, as in things that you can do every day, with the least amount of effort, but you can get them done, and over time the results actually do add up. And you need to be consistent. This is a big one because many at times we lack consistency, and that's what kills our dreams. We start something, within a week we give up. We try again, within, I don't know, a month, 2 months, 3 months, we give up. So we never really accomplish anything. We just keep on trying out different ideas, but we never really stick to anything and produce anything of value. So yeah, the last idea now that I've touched on like almost everything that you need to focus on just as an individual, now you can expand and actually reach out to other people. Before I get to that, here's a quote: if you can film an idea in your mind, follow the film idea shot for shot, scene for scene. That idea is worth making, by Craig Mapp. And I think you can think about that a bit more. Hopefully, it'll inspire you to actually do something great. So the last idea now is the relational aspect. So now that you actually understand yourself better, how can you now interact with other people? How can you add value to their lives? It's very hard to show love to other people when you don't love yourself. So that's the whole reason why I went through all these areas. If you can be holistic in most of those other areas, then you're more likely to have better relationships with other people. So whether it's with your friends, your family members, your colleagues at work or at school, or for those who are married and those who are working towards marriage, your significant other. So I think that's pretty straightforward. I don't really have that much to say because, yeah, if you have a good relationship with yourself, it's just very easy, or it's a lot easier now for you to have a good relationship with other people, or for you to contribute something of value to other people. There's three types of relationships that you need to have, or that you need to be mindful of. First of all, try to have a relationship with people who are actually higher than you, or people who maybe you aspire to be at their level in life. That encourages you to grow. Secondly, try to have people who are around the same level as you as well. That helps you, to sort of know that I'm not alone in this race. I have other people who I can work with, other people who are at my level, who can help think along the way that I am at. And lastly, also have people who are sort of below your level, people who you can actually contribute something to. Generosity, generally, the most successful people are also people who are actually generous. They tend to give more, and they are successful as a result. I mean, many ideologies, many philosophies, many religions will advocate that. It's just something that happens. It's a principle. It's life. You actually also benefit when you actually give other people something of value. So it doesn't necessarily have to be money. It can still be information or wisdom, or just providing some good service to people. And regarding businesses as well, understand that it's not necessarily a dog eat dog world out here. If you read about network marketing, you'll actually figure out that if your network does well, you do well. So you have to make sure that you prime your network to perform at its level best, so that you can actually earn more and perform at your level best as well. So we win as a team in life. So to summarize everything, there's 8 aspects of your life. There's the spirit, the mind, the emotions, and that's the intrinsic aspect. And then there's your body and environment, which touches a bit on your outer area or your surroundings. And then you go to education, which is the skills that you need now that your body and mind are primed to do the very best. So that's when now you can learn skills, and hopefully that skills will give you money, which is finances. And maybe those skills might even be attached to something that you aspire to do, or you just want to do because maybe you feel like it's a good idea to do it. Like maybe if you want to learn a new language, and it might open up doors for you when you actually try to pursue international business, or relationships as well, because once you've touched on all these other key areas, like I said, you're more likely to reach out to other people and actually add value to them. So I'll end my presentation with this. If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving. This is a quote from Martin Luther King Jr., who we all know or we've heard of. You know, some people, they only know the "I have a dream" part, but the rest of the part, it's a bit difficult to catch that. Anyway, yeah. I like this quote because it reminds me as an individual that, you know what, progress is progress, no matter how small. So I just have to keep moving forward. Whatever I do, those incremental steps will add up. So I shouldn't just give up. It encourages me to be consistent. It encourages me to do something, to keep aiming for something better. Because the moment that, you know, you stop moving, the moment you stop learning, the moment you lose your sense of purpose, that is when the whole process of death starts to come about, you know. And then by the time that, you know, your body actually does give up on you, you might have already given up ages ago. So really, take everything that I've just said and try to consider it, and hopefully you can learn something, and hopefully it can help you become something better or become a better person and actually find your sense of purpose. Thank you.